Hello, everyone. As we can see, this is Nobita, and he's talking about Hikikomori. Now, I've done a video about this before, but this guy needs to be responded to.
こんにちは、のび太です。いつも見てくださってありがとうございます。本編に入る前に言っておきたいのが、この問題に関してはすごく複雑で、研究者たちなどでさえもまだ分かりきれてない状況があります。なので、この動画で映しているのはあくまで一部だということを忘れないでください。
Actually, this isn't complex. Hikikomori are guys who can't make it in life. They've been deselected. They have no girlfriend, which is the main driver of what guys do and everything. They're shutting in because they just can't function in this workaholic society. It's very easy concept to understand. Okay. Well, let's.
ただ、キーとなる部分、そして本当に何が日本で起こっているのかを伝えられたら嬉しいなと思っております。
What's happening in Japan is happening in other places in the world. It's just modern living. This is the way it is. Now, let's get to some meat and bones. Okay.
幼少期とか青年期の話をちょっとつながってくるんですけど、父親が結構忙しい人だったんですよ、昔。その仕事を結構日本人的なバリバリ働くみたいな感じの人で、中学校の時とか夜2時に帰ってきて朝5時にはもういないとか、なんかもう超ハードな。
Did I just see that right? He shows up at 2 a.m. and leaves at 5 a.m.? Is this guy getting like 2 hours of sleep? And this is the standard? These guys, what Japan needs is unions and an entire change in what is valued. These guys are dying on their feet.
片親に育てられたわけじゃないんですけど、ちょっとその片親っぽいところが。母親は結構そのステレオタイプの人間なんですよ。自立を守りなさいみたいな、ちょっと軍隊っぽいところがあって、縛りの中で育ってしまう。
You see, this is more of this, the housewife. Is she out there working and earning a pay? No, she's living off her husband. And that's why marriage is still around, everybody. Women see, especially in Japan, they have the choice of working themselves to death along with the men or getting a sucker to marry them, and then they can be a housewife. And even then, this woman had all these stringent restrictions on what this guy does because he's the boy and she wants him to know his place. She wants him to know that he's going to be working like a dog until he drops dead when he grows up. So we better get used to it now.
完璧主義的になるわけです。こうでなければならないみたいな、こだわりすぎてしまうとか。昔こことここにその結構大きい顔のほくろがあったんですね。で、それが結構いじられてたんですよ、小学校の時に。よく小学生がやるようなしょうもない時期なんですけど、当時は気にしてしまったというか、そので学校行けなくなっちゃった。
And this is important too, because it shows this guy developed into a hikikomori. You know, it's one thing leads to another. Men go through these experiences, you know, that whereas the girls, now I'm taking a look down here. Well, I'll get to that later, but right now I'm just going on. This is another thing that should be addressed right here.
US, for example, 40 times less likely people go to counseling in Japan. Most insurances cover that in the States, while in Japan it doesn't.
Now, this is an issue too. This guy is bragging up the US healthcare and mental, you know, people going to therapy. But as a Westerner, therapy doesn't help men. It's a man up. It's like therapy here is just, we'll drug you up or we'll tell you to get over it and get back on the workhorse. So this shows you just how out of touch Japan is. And actually, even if they weren't out of touch, Nobito here is obviously a tradcon, and men in general search for a scapegoat to their problems. They'll never come to the proper conclusion. That's why he's talking about healthcare now, instead of just saying, you know, men are working themselves to death and they're not appreciated and they're used by their wives. That's what this guy should be saying. Now let's say up here, let's start here.
ではない。引きこもりってどんなイメージって言ったときに、やっぱりポンって思い浮かぶのが男性だったりとかするんですけれど、
Hikikomori are men. They don't think that Hikikomori could be a woman or LGBTQ. How is LGBTQ not being a man? Are there not bisexual men? And G stands for gay men? Oh my God. He's not even classifying himself as a man. And he is a man. Being gay doesn't change anything for him. He's expected to conform. The women here can turn around and get a husband and get the hell out. And when they're sitting around doing nothing at home, and trust me, they're not doing a lot. They're not working 15-hour days at housework. No one is saying that they're shot at. Well, I shouldn't. I'm about to find out that someone's trying to claim it later, so I shouldn't say that. But these women are basically living off their husbands, and that's fine with this Japanese society. Pathetic.
とその LGBTQ セクシャルマイノリティに対しの引きこもり状態とかはまだ全然足りてないというかないのではっていうふうな気がしますね。So when it comes to gender, the government estimates.
Oh, this is important.
It's mostly men based on the data, but probably it's not so accurate, and so many female hikikomori are hidden. If any guy like me didn't go to work or school, he's gonna be easily considered hikikomori. But the women in Japan are often categorized into these and not seen as hikikomori. Kyoko Hayashi, who used to be hikikomori, she also points out there are actually many women struggling, but because of their identified roles as housewives or those doing household chores, Japanese people cannot see that. They are actually socially withdrawn and
they aren't withdrawn. What the worst case scenario is some wife moves with her husband and moves away from her friends, and she can't make new friends. But I don't even believe that. All you have to do is find other housewives in your neighborhood. You know, any woman who's a hikikomori is, well, it's not true. She's a shut-in because she wants to be. She's not forced there like the guys are. This housewife doesn't have to perform. When her husband's away at work, she doesn't know what she's doing. No one's keeping an eye on her. Her work doesn't take 12 hours, or in this case in Japan, 15 hours. This is utter bullshit. Man, women love the victimhood role. And here they are trying to steal the man's true victimhood. He'll never speak up because his victimhood is damaging to him, but it helps them. So here they are trying to grab a hold of it. How pathetic. How bloody pathetic.
Need help. Now, I want to emphasize this. Hikikomori is not just a men's issue in Japan, but regardless of what gender.
Yes, it is. The people that talking to you about you to this have been men so far. It's a man's issue. No Bito or no Bita, however you're saying your name. You're a disgusting tradcon. How dare you try and frame it as a woman's issue? Talk about sad.
Sexuality or age, it's a nationwide serious problem for everyone. Japan needs to realize that and seriously work on the issue right now. Anyway, let's also hear from someone who has been seeing many hikikomori and giving support to them.
やっぱし多いのはそれまでの人生の中で成功体験ほとんどこう
There you go. They haven't built up successful experiences in their life. So their brute experiences is telling them that they failed. You know, confidence comes from success.
進めてない。なんとなく流されてきてしまっているような、なんでその大学にしたの、なんでその学部にしたの、なんでですかねみたいな、 そこにこう自分自身の意思決定がない。だからそういうその人生のこう岐路に立った時にしっかりとこう自分をこう見つめ直して
I don't want to. I only want to hear so much from this guy. I got other things to talk about. Let's see what we got here.
Or at least pressure to make my work has to be the number one priority. Now, nothing wrong with being passionate about your job or study, but if that's the only thing you have and lose it one day, probably you feel like my life is done. I have nothing left.
私たちコミュニケーションってその例えばその何々ですって自己紹介するときにどこそこの何々ですとかこう肩書きとか社会性
Yeah, this is what makes this a men's issue. These guys are, this is men looking for status. Men have to have status, women don't. That's why there are women housewives and not male housewives in Japan, because the woman doesn't need to brag up what she does for a living. And the men do. I mean, this is common sense. And this is another reason why I don't trust the LGBTQ, because the guys from there, this man who's gay, he's no different from the straight men. He's learned nothing.
みたいなものをつけて話したりとかするんですけれど、それ自体がこうなくなった時に自分が何者であるかみたいなのがなくなった時に悲しか交わせなくなってしまうとか、引きこもった
Yeah, men identify by what they do. Women identify by being women, by their sex. They're women, that's it. That's all they need. So let's stop trying to make this a man's issue, or woman's issue, I should say. It's a man's issue. Here's another one too. We'll check this out. Let's check this one out here.
As a parents, but my point still stands. In many other countries, parents encourage kids to leave the house once they have grown up, while in
Yeah, parents do encourage their kids to leave the house. Their kids get a certain age, and then they tell them, at least the guys, they tell to get out. The young guys are definitely told to get out. Now, it's insulting to try and include women in here, because I know too often, and you guys do too, that the fathers of these young women actually don't want them to leave most of the time. They want their little goddess that loves daddy to stay, or at least stay as close by as they can. It's the sons that get kicked out, and they get kicked out, not encouraged. Eventually the father comes around to their son, he's like 16, 17, or 18, say, well, it's time for you to start getting school or a job or both. I need you out of my house because you are a byproduct of sex. I really just wanted your mother around. Know that.
In Japan, it's traditionally quite common, and many other people do that, so quite easy to hide the problem about their kids. Anyway,
This is just more scapegoating anyway. Just another guy making excuses, saying Japan is different.
personally think that the more normalized this is in the society, the more
Okay.
Hikikomori.
Right here. This is what I don't like seeing. So this guy's supposedly doing nothing. What's she doing? She's going to give him a bit of food, then she's going to disappear and do nothing herself. So this woman is leeching off her husband just as much as he's leeching off her husband. But he's seen as a loser and she's seen as a winner. That has to change. This is bullshit. Bullshit. Let's see what else we got here. Right about here.
性みたいなものをないものにしてしまうとか否定してしまうみたいな、なんかそういうコミュニケーションになってしまう。
All other aspects of the personality are denied for guys. They identify through their status, what their schooling is and what their work is. No kidding. What's this guy going to do about it? He's got to change his society.
構引きこもりとかそのいじめにも関係していると
思いますね。やっぱり喋れないことで、なんで喋らないのとかいう方はいじめてる意識はない場合もあると思うんですけど、本当になんで話さないのか不思議で質問してくる人もいると思うんですけど、やっぱり周りと違っておとなしいということでいじめの標的にされやすいということもあると思いますし、不登校の方とかも
This is what really irks me. This woman suffered a mental health issue already. That's how she became Hikikomori, supposedly, is because she suffered a mental illness that she didn't speak. Well, the other guys, they didn't start off like her. They didn't start off with mental illness. They became Hikikomori through their experiences, one bad experience after another. If this woman didn't have this mental issue, she wouldn't be Hikikomori at all. Matter of fact, I probably wouldn't even just ever categorize her as one anyway. But this is what ticks me off about guys like you, Beta, trying to make this a women's issue and lump them in. They don't suffer in the same way. Quiet, shy girls are not ditched from society. Makes me angry.
ならないってことじゃないですか。ある種の人たちからすると生きづらくて、そのレールから降りたい感じの社会になっている。
あとやっぱりみんな自信がない人が多いですよね、日本人ってよく言われることですけど、やっぱ自信がないとこう自分を適切な環境に置けないと思うんですよ。自信がない人ってやっぱ周りに合わせて。
Yeah, people are unconfident. Why? Because their experiences tell them so. Their defeats make them unconfident. This guy is going to start that cart before the horse bullshit, where if you're confident, you'll get success. When it's the other way around, your successes breed confidence. So these guys who are unconfident have suffered failures in their life and very few, if any, successes. So, I mean, this is pathetic. That's right, this last one.
が、最近あったりとかする。だから助けてと言わない人を助けるっていうことの難しさがすごくやっぱあるんですよね。死にたいまでいかなくてもいろんな問題抱えながらだ。
Yeah, people don't succeed, look for help. And when I say people, I mean men. Men do not seek help because, they're seen as victims, and then the abuse they've been getting all along is magnified. The women don't suffer this. When a woman comes with a problem, people take care of it. Every guy knows that. All these guys, they know that. They know if they come forward and say, I've got a problem, they're going to be shit on and then told to man up. And that's why they don't do it. And this guy here, I mean, what's he's really talking about? He's into the healthcare profession himself. So, of course, he's not going to deal with the problems. He wants people to go to therapy. He wants to expand his own status. You understand? This guy wants to expand his own status. He wants people to come to him and pay him to talk about their problems. And then he'll tell these guys to man up and send them right back to hell. And he'll make money. That's what guys do. And that's all that needs to be said about this situation. Thank you, everyone.